Welcome to our worship service from the Unitarian Society of Northampton and Florence. I'm Kathy Lilly, and I'm your Zoom host this morning. I'm very glad to see you here. We strive to be a congregation that welcomes people of all ages, races, religious beliefs, backgrounds, gender identities, and abilities. We belong to the Unitarian Universalist Association of Congregations, and we are guided and inspired by its values and principles. Those values and principles move us to remember that we in Northampton inhabited unceded land of the Pocumtuck and Nipmuc peoples. Our values and principles remind us to acknowledge our responsibility to face all the painful legacies of dispossession and systemic racism that are part of our collective history, even as we affirm and celebrate the legacies that inspire us. We are here to support and celebrate one another and to renew ourselves with hope and gratitude and new resolve. If you are new or returning after a time away, welcome. We're very glad you're here. Please feel free to fill out a virtual visitor card. Doing that allows us to put you on our email contact list. There's a link to the card in the chat. And we ask that you remain muted throughout the service and turn off your videos except during the greeting in order to help the technology work as smoothly as possible. We hope you'll stay for social hour afterwards. It is a great way to engage in meaningful conversations with people you might not otherwise have met. And now we'll begin our service.
This is a day to be thankful, to breathe deeply, to say there is a time to rejoice. And we will go on. These are words from Barbara Peskin. The glory of the passing away of autumn lies about us, fresh gold for a time. When the dark comes and the cold and the continuation of struggle, may we remember how today we walk in bounty, how we move knee-deep in abundance, flung against night's winter curtain. And now please join me as Booker lights the chalice in saying the words to accompany the chalice lighting. The heart's alchemy can turn suffering into community, conflict into the energy of creativity, and tension into an opening toward the common good. May our chalice flame provide a catalyzing spark. Practice of making at least one mistake in every service, preferably near the beginning of it. And what happened this morning was that the words to the Old Hundredth went into the slideshow too late. And so I apologize, it is my fault. And I hope some of you were able to sing some of it, or at least hum the words as we sang. And now Jessica has a story.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Jessica Harwood, and I'm the Director of Faith Development and Community Engagement. And I don't know about you, but this was a roller coaster of a week, and it was really helpful for me to have some activities and practices that helped keep me calm and grounded. And one of them was this story that I'm going to share with you today. It's called I Am Peace by Susan Verde. And the illustrations you might recognize, they're by Peter Reynolds. I Am Peace, a book of mindfulness. There are times when I worry what might happen next and what happened before. The thoughts in my head are like rushing water, and I feel like a boat with no anchor, being carried away. I give myself a moment. I take a breath. And then I tell myself, it's all right. I feel the ground beneath my feet and steady myself. And start to notice the here and the now. My thoughts begin to settle. My mind begins to clear. I am peace. I can watch my worries gently pop and disappear. I let things go. I can say what I feel inside out loud. I know myself. I can share kindness with others. I make a difference. I can hug a tree and thank it for its beauty and strength. I connect to nature. I can watch the clouds make shapes against the sky. I know wonder. I can taste and smell and touch and hear and see what is all around me. I use my senses. I can feel my breath fill my whole body. I tune into me. Now the water is still. I've found my anchor, and everything is all right. I don't need to worry about before or after. I am in this moment. I am peace. Now I share my peace with others. and I hope that it is carried away to those who need it. And I dream we are peace. And I wonder if any of you recognize some of those practices that you did this week.
Now, I invite you to please join us in singing hymn number 1009 for any of you who have the hymnal, the meditation on breathing.
Breathe in, breathe out, 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 breathe in, breathe
And now it's time for us to greet one another. You're invited to turn on your videos, wave, and say hello in chat. If you're new or newish, would like to, please unmute yourself and say hello and tell us where you're from.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning. Hi, everybody. I've got to put my glasses back on. It's too bright.
Hey, gang. Hey.
Hey, guys.
Would like to.
Hi, everybody.
Nice to see you.
Hello, Flora.
Hi, everybody. Miss you guys.
Hey, Rita.
Hi, Rita.
Hi.
Hi,
Talia
everybody.
Miller, welcome, welcome, welcome.
Girls, come say hello.
Hi, Julie.
Optimistic.
To see us.
We're all happy.
Yeah.
Everybody's
Yeah.
happy.
We're happy.
Emily, what are you sitting under?
Great to see you all. It's
Hi,
wonderful
Sarah.
to see. Wow, I have to.
Hi,
go to
Georgia.
school. It's wonderful, wonderful to see you all. We're going to move on, and I invite you now to turn off your videos.
Oh.
And we're going to remute everybody. Say goodbye, wave goodbye. Turn off your videos, please. It's been great to see you all. And now it's time to sing out everyone who is going to religious education. Go now in peace. And now we have something special for you. Arita Koksharanova came to us at the Unitarian Society in April of 2018, desperate to avoid a final deportation order. Arita has been in the United States since 2005. She came here and sought asylum as a person who very much feared persecution, as in Russia for her relationship with a woman. She now has an American husband and 3 US-born children and is continuing to fight deportation so that she can continue to live in this country, support her family, and raise her children. And she recently shared a poem that she wrote with members of our sanctuary team. We learned that she wrote poems in Russian, and this was the first one she'd written in English. And she agreed to read it for all of us this morning. So we're going to hear Arita read her poem. So good to see you.
Good to see you too, everyone. I'm in the spotlight. Yay. Hi, everybody. I miss you all dearly, and I wish I could say hello to every one of you in person, but the times are tough right now, so I leave you a piece of me, this little poem for you. Here it is. My views on politics and my immigration troubles. I won't give up, because that's not in my nature. I won't give up. That's not my way to go. I will rise up. My loved ones are at stake here. For them, I will forever fight and grow. Our lives are an amazing treasure. We'll laugh and love and learn how to be brave. I will just say outright that our generation forgot humanity and what it is like to behave. My heart's in pain, and so is my resilience. It cries and groans and begs to take a break. It seems like this is never ending, that this is something very hard to shake. Yet, don't give up, I say to all that go through daily struggle. We must rise up and fight to get what we deserve. The Black folk, the undocumented folk, and caring mothers, fathers, sisters, brothers, we need a plan, the one that works and strikes imposters' nerve. I am a mother, so I have persistent superpower. I also know what living in fear means. I ask of you that come November 2020, vote blue, rise up, don't fear, and together we can win. Well, here's my story. Here's my poem, and I am very glad to the news that we heard yesterday, and it feels like the weight has been lifted off my shoulders, and you know, I just wish the best for everybody, not just me. Let's breathe. Let's take another step. Let's keep on going, farther and farther in our fight. Let's do justice together. Love you guys.
Mommy?
I can't follow that. Our offering every week is shared between the Unitarian Society of Northampton and Florence and one of the organizations that the Coordinating Council chose at their meeting in early October. We also encourage your donations to support Arita and her family. You can do that through visiting the Sanctuary tab on our website. And I think Rebecca is going to put the links to both links in the chat in just a minute, or she is putting the links in the chat. So your generosity, our generosity, is making a difference every day, every week. And as Jessica shows, the pictures you sent of things in your life that ground you will listen to our offertory and consider everything for which we're grateful. After the meditation, the response that you're going to hear is a chant that's sung as a round, and it repeats the Arabic word alhamdulillah, which means praise be to God or thank God. The meditation was adapted from a book called A House of Hope by Reverend John Burns and Reverend Rebecca Parker. John is a retired UU minister who served as president of the UUA in the 1990s, and Rebecca Parker is a minister who's the former president of the Unitarian Universalist Starr King School of Ministry in Berkeley, California. Hope rises. It rises from the heart of life, here and now, beating with joy and sorrow. Hope longs. It longs for good to be affirmed, for justice and love to prevail, for life to flourish in peace. Hope remembers. It remembers the dreams of those who have gone before, and it reaches for connection with them across the boundaries of time and death. Hope acts. It acts to bless, to protect, and to repair. Let's be together in silence.
This comes from a Facebook post by Reggie Harris. He's the African-American musician who sang here last month. If you haven't seen his concert or worship service, you can find the links on the USNF website. He wrote this post on the morning of the election. It's called Why I'm Not Scared. I speak from a source of wisdom passed to me by people who have survived more than 400 years of having to sweat this stuff out, vote for the lesser choice again and again as the prudent thing, and then watch other people be okay when we ain't okay. To all of you who have internalized the struggle to the point that you know the rich and powerful are simply never going to give up trying to get their way and have committed yourselves to stay in the game, win or lose or whatever, kudos. These people, the rich and powerful, are ready to go regardless of the outcome, and they will not consider in any way how we feel about it. We will be joyful or exhausted, relieved or exasperated, happy or angry as fits the good or bad news. I hold on to the words of the civil rights pioneer Phlanze Brown Wright, who was the first African-American woman elected to office in Jim Crow, Mississippi many years ago. She said to us in May in our Living Legacies series on voting rights, "We've got to just keep on keeping on." Somebody asked if she ever gets frustrated and just wants to quit. And she replied, "You know," she may have said honey, "you know, honey, I quit this job every night. But in the morning, I remember that I took a vow to work for justice when I was 16 years old. So every day, I put on my shoes and get back to work." That's the same type of resolve and fierce persistence that pushed Harriet Tubman, Sojourner Truth, Frederick Douglass, Mary McLeod Bethune, Jackie Robinson, Medgar Evers, Rosa Parks, John Lewis, and millions of others, including Eleanor Roosevelt, Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel, Mahatma Gandhi, Pete and Toshi Seeger, and Ruth Bader Ginsburg, to walk in the ways of justice. Yes, friends, I am concerned, agitated, full of righteous rage, and fired up, and at times, worn down. I'm working the self-care thing too, but I am not scared. We have seen millions of young people embrace a new energy and create strategies of revolution, and millions of people of all races, backgrounds, persuasions, and in some cases, political opposition, come awake and alive to take to the streets. They march, tweet, organize, chant, lie down in the streets, and say, "No more." We have seen corporations and companies, perhaps engaging in enlightened self-interest, release statements that say Black Lives Matter and state that no children of any background deserve to be separated from their parents or locked in cages. We've watched millions who have begun addressing our hate-filled and divisive past. But as Bernice Johnson Reagan and Sweet Honey in the Rock sang, "We who believe in freedom will not rest until it comes." We're just getting started.
And now let's sing together, "One More Step."
One more step, we will take one more step, till every word is heard by everyone. We'll take one more step. One more word, we will say one more word, till every word is heard by everyone. We'll say one more word. One more prayer, we will say one more prayer, till every prayer
one more song.
One more song, we will sing one more song, till every song is sung by everyone. We'll sing one more song.
Every morning I put on my shoes and get back to work. That means something different for each of us, I think, and I offer you an invitation to consider what it might mean for you. At this moment, I am feeling relieved. I know that many of you are feeling that way too. We've been carrying so much, and we've been on a roller coaster. We're still in a strange place, knowing, as Reggie Harris reminds us, that those currently in power are being as relentless at controlling the narrative as they have always been. And we are confronting the harsh reality of how divided we are as a people. We knew it before, but this election made it crystal clear. I grew up saying the Pledge of Allegiance, I think some of you too, and this phrase, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all, is wired somewhere up here, and we're just not there. We need a great commitment to better understanding of one another, and as President-elect Joe Biden said last night, to healing. So what will it look like now? As we settle in and settle down, how do we settle ourselves? How do we become and stay more grounded in the weeks and months ahead? Craig Driesen shared an election day posting with me, and this came from the leader of the Zen Center in Worcester, who we've heard from this month. His name is David Reinick, and he has advice for staying grounded. He writes, take time to shrink your field of attention. Staying current and informed are important, but the daily acts of living are equally important. And he suggests, and I agree, that we should separate ourselves from the stream of news that comes in on all our devices. Turn to the immediate world around you, he writes, to the running water that comes out of your faucet, the smell of coffee brewing, the way the morning light slowly illuminates the view from the window, the sensation of the breath that has so faithfully sustained your life all these years. Just this, just these simple, everyday things. The day after this week's election, last Wednesday, it was still cool outside, and early in the afternoon I opened my front door and I stepped out, and our house faces south, but even at 1 p.m., which is noon by standard time, the sun leans now at least 30 degrees to the west. It provided enough warmth to offset the chill of the wind, and so I huddled down on the middle step. Cars and pickup trucks went by. People walked by, some with their dogs, some masked, some unmasked. What Barbara Peskin called the glory of the passing away of autumn lay all about me. The past week's wind and rain had stripped most of the trees that were in my sight. And I thought, bare ruined choirs, where once the sweet birds sang. That's a line from one of Shakespeare's most beautiful sonnets, and it captures the melancholy and the poignancy as well as the beauty of this time of year. I stared at those bare choirs. There are gnarled arthritic branches of the catalpa and the thorny locust trees, and also the arching lacy halo that's created by intertwined topmost branches and twigs of the maple trees in my neighbor's yard. And I looked up at the clear autumn sky, and I felt the sun on my face. And for that moment, I was present to what was before me. David Reinach's second bit of advice is to appreciate the people in our lives, even the difficult ones. He writes, "We are all, even you, part of an intricate network of relationships of mutual nourishment as we rub up against each other, irritate and delight each other, near and far, living and dead." And that's an element of what Reggie Harris was saying on election morning, evoking the memories of past champions of freedom, reminding his readers of all the people working together right now for change. Reinach's point is that we can help ground ourselves by stopping to notice and appreciate the people in our daily lives. So maybe we can take a moment, an intentional moment. Imagine you're seeing your spouse or child or sibling or friend, even the person who checks you out at the grocery store, for the first time. Really notice them. Appreciate the miracle of their being. Appreciate the miracle of your own being. Reinach also advises us to give ourselves to what we're doing in the moment. He writes, "We often suppose that the meaning of our life is somewhere else, but life only happens in this place where we are. Don't hold back and wait." It's all good advice. Shrink your field of attention, appreciate the people in your life, give yourself to the moment. But I so often live in the opposite way of all of that. Busy, distracted, trying to do 3 or 4 things in 6 or 7 places at once, which I used to be, or imagined I used to be much better at when I was younger than I am now. It wasn't good for me then either. And some of you sent in pictures of what grounds you: pets, your garden, the natural world, spiritual practices like gratitude or journaling. The trees and water and the woods ground me, as does solitude. Solitude is different from isolation. Sometimes I find it even on my own front steps, with cars and people going by. It grounds me, it allows me to narrow my field of attention and quiet the mind's chatter for a little while. Earlier that same day, that same Wednesday, I had a conversation with Lynn Marie Wanamaker. Lynn Marie is on our worship committee, and she's one of the people who preside over our annual hymn sing, which happens the Sunday between Christmas and the New Year. And at the beginning of that service, people in attendance submit requests for their favorite hymns. This is a form of ranked choice voting, in which Lynn Marie tells me, I probably shouldn't share this, but I am. She tells me that a substantial percentage of the results are known well in advance, without any reliance on polling. The selections get made, the congregation sings. So the question is, how do we recapture some of the joy and community spirit of that hymn sing service this year when we will not be able to be together? Lynn Marie has some ideas. We moved on to talk about how we, all of us, are caring about and caring for each other. So what else helps keep me grounded? You do. You give me opportunities to appreciate the people in my life, This past week has offered amazing gifts of conversation and connection for many of us, one-on-one, in small groups and connection circles and drop-ins and phone calls we've been making to friends and neighbors and family members. We have shared what we've been learning about the latest developments, and we have opened our hearts to one another. I got a text last night from my dear colleague and friend, Phyllis O'Connell, who was my minister before I was in seminary, and she's the one who actually told me that I really needed to become a Unitarian Universalist minister. And she texted me and said, "I know what you need to preach tomorrow. Thank you, Jesus." I said, "Thank you, Phyllis. I'll tell them that, and I'll tell them it comes from you." Opening our hearts and just being there for one another is another way we ground ourselves. We are hoping, parenthetically, to form another connection circle that's specifically for people who have children of whatever age, infants to college-age children, who are at home. And parents with children at home are facing different challenges from those of us who don't have children or whose children are grown and out of the house. So please let Jessica know if you're interested in doing that, and we'll figure it out in a way that works time-wise and schedule-wise for you. Teresa Amabile also sent me a post this week. It was from her sister-in-law's rabbi, who quoted a verse from the prophet Zechariah. "Return to the stronghold, you prisoners of hope." He wrote, "We are prisoners to hope. We have no choice. It's built into the system, and it's the only way to live. We're locked into that spiritual mindset because we might otherwise abandon it for the more alluring and sometimes more logical alternative, resignation and despair." So this is a time for hope and for fortitude, for grounding ourselves and taking care of ourselves. And as we do that, we will also put on our shoes and go back to work in whatever ways we can. And now please join us in singing the final hymn, "Earth is Our Homeland."
story.
Celebrate. Celebrate all the gifts of earth and sky. Celebrate hope for the future. Celebrate the good work we are doing together. Go in peace. So I hope all of you will join our friends, our new friends at the UU Church of Worcester next Sunday at 10 o'clock. Reverend Aaron Payson is going to preach on the inner light as celebrated in the Hindu festival of Diwali. And then on November 29th, we will welcome the Worcester congregation to our service. We're doing a reverse pulpit exchange. The ministers are staying put, or in my case this Sunday, and Aaron's case on the 29th, staying home, and the congregations are traveling en masse to worship together, virtually, of course. So I hope many of you will enjoy that service. I think he's a good preacher. All Zoom links will be on the homepage this week.